2nd of May, Rabbi Emor, Parsha Hashavua. Emor. I can see you, but I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Oh, you're muted.
Now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Actually, you're a little bit faint.
I'm faint. I'm hoarse. Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit. Just 1 second. Yeah. You remind me, we used to have a teacher in high school who had the habit of making these like faux pas comments. And one time he came into the class and he says, "You have to excuse me today, but I'm a little hoarse today." So the whole class like cracks up, the whole thing, everybody's laughing. So he doesn't understand what he says. So he says, "Why is everything? Well, I am a little hoarse." Needless to say, further bursts of laughter. Okay, let's go.
All right, Emor.
Yeah.
Meir was here yesterday. I don't know where he is today.
Yeah, the mayor was here yesterday.
Yeah, he came
Okay.
and was looking for
Let's go. The thing is, I'm not sure whether we should start from the beginning or let's go from Perek Chav Gimel, which is actually very interesting because it talks about all the Yom Tovim and how it comes into Parshas Emor. Basically, the background of all the Yom Tovim is are the korbanos. So the pasuk mentions derech agav, but that's Parshas why it's mentioned over here. Okay, chapter Chav Gimel, Revi. I think we'll start from there.
Chav Gimel, I see it. Vaydeber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Deber el bnei Yisrael, speak to the children of Israel, V'amarta alehem, and say to them, Moadei Hashem asher tikru osam, the holy days of Hashem, that
Moadei Hashem actually means you translate the holy days.
The holidays. A moed, it's like Chol Moed is the intermediate days, but usually Moed refers to the whole thing, right?
Festivals. Let's call it the festival. But really, we're going to see Moed is a time of what do you call it? Convocation, meeting.
Right.
Oil Moed, right? The Mishkan. Another name for the Mishkan was Oil Moed. The tent of meeting,
right?
Because that's where Hashem would meet with Moshe Rabbeinu or with Klal Yisrael. So that was the place where Kodesh Baruch Hu convened with Klal Yisrael. So Moed Hashem are the times when Klal Yisrael comes together closer to Hashem. They meet with Hashem.
Right. Right. Okay. So say to them, the convocations of Hashem, that you will declare them Mikrei Kodesh, meetings of holy meetings.
Yeah, right.
Elohim, these are them. Moadeh.
Elohim, right.
What?
These are my again, my convocations, my times of meeting. I just want to keep out of curiosity. I want to see how I translated it. Maybe I just translate as a festival. Seconds. Yeah. It's a little bit cumbersome, I think. It says periodic festive occasions. That's how I translated
Right.
Periodic festive occasion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean,
Rashi,
comes from time to time. Okay.
so Rashi says, Daber el b'nei Yisrael moadei Hashem. Tell the children of Israel about the convocations of Hashem. Asa moad. Asay. Okay. Asay. Moados sheyu Yisrael. So asay is make convocations that it will be for Israel. Melumadim bahem. I don't know this word melumadim.
Means they should be used to keeping them, which means, I'll stay holding 1 second. I'd like actually to see exactly how I translated that. Rashi. In a second. Yeah. So how it translates, arrange the festival so that Yisrael will be used to observing them. Means don't make it tough on them.
Arrange. Okay.
I have a note over here. I'll read you out my note. This follows the reading Modi, right, that you should be used to. By showing the people of the diaspora that we specially arranged a festival so that they'll be able to come up to Yerushalayim, This will encourage them to come up regularly. This tallies with that which is stated in Torah's Kohanim. Fix the festivals so that all Yisrael can fulfill them. See also Rashi Sanhedrin. Aryeh quotes another reading. Melamdin Bohem. This means that all Yisrael should come to Yerushalayim for the festival, so that this time will be designated for learning. Means it's interesting. The Rambam actually speaks about this at length. That one of the purposes of Ma'aser Sheni, which a person, every farmer had to separate a second tithe in order to. It depends which year it was, but in the first, second, and fourth and fifth year of the Shemitah cycle, he'd have to, besides giving Ma'aser Rishon to the Levi, right? And obviously, first Truma to the Kohen, then Ma'aser Rishon to the Levi. Then also, he had to separate another tithe, Ma'aser Sheni, which was taken up to Yerushalayim. So the Rambam says something very interesting. I'm not sure what it's based on. Someone saying that the Rambam says the purpose of having Ma'aser Sheni is that the farmer should send. Now, what's he going to do with all this Ma'aser Sheni? It's a lot of produce, right? What's he going to do with it? He's going to go out for Yom Tov to finish the whole thing. It's a tremendous amount. So he says, what the purpose was that the farmer should send his children, should send his sons to Yerushalayim, and with the Ma'aser Sheni, he will have with what to provide them with, not directly and indirectly. Meaning, if it's fruit or grain or whatever, they can live off that grain in Yerushalayim. And if it's other produce which they're not necessarily going to eat the whole time, let's say, it's plums, pomegranates. A person can't live on pomegranates, so what's he going to do? He'll sell the pomegranates, and with the money, he'll be able to, or he doesn't even need to sell it. He can be paid before the son goes to Yerushalayim. He'll be paid, he'll redeem the pomegranates he has onto money, and the son will take the money to Yerushalayim. And when he's in Yerushalayim, this will provide, as long as he buys food with it, this will provide him sustenance for the whole time he's in Yerushalayim. So he'll go to yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and the son will spend his time learning there. And when he comes home, he'll tell all his whole family, you know what I saw in Yerushalayim? I met with this gadol, I met with this Rosh Yeshiva, and he'll meet all the great people of the nation in Yerushalayim. And this way, he'll be able to, when he goes home, he'll be able to, how should we say, teach his family and all the members of his family in general. He'll be machazik them in their Yiddishkeit. So this way, says the Rambam, that's way how a person will be able to use his Ma'aser Sheni and thereby send his children to Yerushalayim to be able to learn Torah with the leaders of the generation who are living in Yerushalayim. Okay?
So there's a double meaning.
Meaning?
This word, melumadin,
right.
means to be used to, and it means to learn.
Learn, right. So there's two, the Aryeh says there's two different readings actually. But anyway, but the idea, basically what Rashi's saying is that either way, if we see that the rainy season is continuing, so let me tell you a little bit of background to this, what Rashi is referring to. The Gemara has a klal, later on in Parsha Re'eh, it says, Shomares Chodesh HaOviv. God will be watchful of the month of spring. Because that's when you went out of Mitzrayim. So Chazal learn out from there that got to make sure that Pesach, the month of Nisan, is always in the spring. Now, as you know, there's an 11-day difference between the solar calendar, the solar year, and lunar year.
Right.
You're going to come out with a discrepancy each year of 11 days.
Right.
So what they did was that when Chazal saw that this is before the calendar was fixed, And Chazal saw that Pesach, if you keep it, if it's going to be a 12-month year, Pesach's going to be very, very early. It's not yet going to be spring yet. In fact, there's an astronomical way of determining. Chazal had an astronomical way of determining how when Nisan is going to be. If the Moilad of Nisan is going to be after the certain number of days will come out after the Tkufa, meaning the Tkufa is like the equinox, the spring equinox. Nisan is going to be a certain amount of days. Otherwise, Nisan had to be, the middle of Nisan had to be after the equinox.
Right.
Pesach had to be after the equinox. Okay, so that was the thing. It's not a complicated, but it's an involved way of calculating it. But Chazal, that's how Gemara says, that's how Chazal determined when there's going to be a leap year or not. So if the Chazal saw there's a need for a leap year, so they added an extra Adar. So okay. So Shoma, that's and so we learn from the Passover is Chodesh Aviv Kiva Yotzas Mitzrayim. Pesach must be in the Chodesh Aviv, in the month of spring, and spring means that's when the grain starts to sprout. Whatever, there's a whole thing. That's when it's be'ivuyoy. It's in its shall we say early ripening stage. That's the best way of maybe explaining it. Okay, that's Aviv. Now here. The Gemara says actually Chazal have various reasons to make it a leap year. One of them is to make sure that it's Aviv. The other one I mentioned before with the equinox. Now here Rashi is mentioning another reason. If Chazal saw, the Sanhedrin at the time saw that the rainy season is continuing, and if we're not going to make a leap year, it's going to be very difficult for the people of outside Eretz Yisrael or the outskirts of Eretz Yisrael. It's going to be very hard for them to come up to Yerushalayim because the streets are so muddy. Because it's right, and there's still tremendous amount of rain going on. Then Chazal would add another month and push off Pesach for another year, for another month, and it would make a leap year. So that's what it means over here. Asay moyados, make the festivals or the Yomim Tovim, sheYisrael melumodim b'hem, that the Yisrael should be used to and should be, I guess, in this sense, convenient for them to be able to come to Yerushalayim. For the sake of those people in the diaspora who have already left their place to go to Yerushalayim, but they didn't get there yet because of the weather, then no, so he's saying, he explains as follows. What it means is as follows. That shouldn't happen. Meaning, Chazal said, we're going to make a leap year that shouldn't happen. They're going to plan to leave wherever they live in. And they plan that the journey will take, let's say, 10 days. And it ends up, because of the rainy weather and the muddy conditions, it's going to take them 2 weeks to get there. And they're going to miss out. So if Chazal see at the beginning of, it has to be Adar, it has to be still in Adar. By the end of Adar, you see that the streets are very muddy and still a tremendous amount of rain happening. So then Chazal will say, well, if we're not going to make a leap year, what's going to happen? So our good friends in Metula, or in, Ramat HaGolan, or some outskirts places like that, okay, if we tell them, well, we're making a regular Pesach, so they plan on taking 10 days to get to Yerushalayim, okay, and if we don't make a leap year, that means they're going to get delayed because of the muddy conditions and they won't make it on time. So therefore, Chazal said, well, because of that, we're going to make a leap year, add another month, And this way, the conditions will be much better by the month's time, won't be so muddy or whatever, and therefore the people living in the outskirts of Eretz Yisrael will be able to plan their trip, and their trip will take the amount of time as much as they initially planned, because the weather conditions will be much better. Okay?
Okay.
Just want to see 1 second. Something. Emor, here we go. Let's try, yeah. Okay, yeah. Very good. Okay. Now, let's continue. Pasuk. Yeah, by the way, elsewhere, Rashi says it means a day. I think we had it in Parshas. First time we had it was in Parshas Boy with regard to Pesach. Rashi says a day designated for holiness, which means wearing special clothing, having special food, creating that the day is a special day. That's what it means, Mikra Kodesh. That's when it says, Mikra Kodesh Elei Emor. Okay, Pasuk Gimel.
Sheshes Yamim Te'aseh Melacha B'yom Hashvi'i Shabbason Mikra Kodesh Kol Melacha Lo Sa'su Shabbos Hi Lashem B'chol Moshvosechem. So 6 days you will work. You will do work, and
not quite. Melacha may be done. Te'oseh is a passive form. If it says you shall do work, or you do melacha, that would mean that would say ta'aseh melacha. Sheishis yomim te'oseh melacha. Work may be done. I translated it. Yeah. For 6 days, work may be done. Okay.
And on the 7th day,
right?
Sabbath of Sabbaths, it will be a Sabbath of Sabbaths. A convocation of holiness.
Right.
All work do not do.
You must not do any work.
A Sabbath it is to Hashem in all of your dwelling places. Okay, so Rashi says on Gimel, Sheshes Yamim, 6 days, Ma Inyan Shabbos. What is the matter of the Sabbath? Mo Ados. In association with dwelling places. In other words, why does it mention your dwelling places? What does that have to do with Shabbos?
No. What's it? Moedos means festivals. Mine in Shabbos, it's a moedos. Because here, the whole parsha is going to tell you that there are different periodic festive occasions, as I translated it. Okay? Now, what has Shabbos got to do with that? Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I was just reading it myself so I can understand what you're saying.
No, I know, but I'm not hearing you the whole time.
All right, I'm going to move the microphone closer.
Whatever. My Indian Shabbos Eitz HaMoedes. What is the connection between Shabbos and the festivals?
La medcha. What is it?
The lamedcha, to teach you.
To teach you. Shekol hamechalel es ha-moados, that anyone who violates the festival, ma'alin alav. What's ma'alin?
We consider it.
We consider it.
And what it literally means, we count it. Malin, we raise it. Malin olav.
Concerning him, ke'ilu chalel es hashabasos, that as if he had violated the Sabbath.
Sabbath.
V'chol ha-mikayam es mikayim es hamoados, and anyone that fulfills the the festivals, ma'alin alav ke'ilu kayam es shabasos. We consider it of concerning him as if he had kept the Sabbath.
Right.
In other words, it's an equivalence between the Sabbath and the festival. To say breaking one is like breaking the other, and keeping one is like keeping the other.
Right. Now, the reason why it's pointed out, the Torah needs to point this out, is because Shabbos, breaking the Shabbos is considered a very serious offense. The punishment for profaning the Shabbos by doing malacha, doing work on Shabbos. So if somebody does it intentionally, the death penalty he gets punished by death. Right? If he does it, that's with Eidim. If it's with intentionally without Eidim, then there's chorus, there's excision, right? And if he does it b'shogeg, unintentionally, then he's got to bring a korban chatos, got to bring a sin. Whereas somebody who transgresses and profanes Yom Tov, so at most he will get lashes. Because if he does it intentionally with Eidim, he gets lashes. And if he does it unintentionally, there's no punishment. So l'chayra, one might think that the festivals had taken a much lesser, considered much lesser level of a mitzvah, that it's not on such a high level. Therefore, the Torah has to point out that the keeping the festivals is on as equally high a level as keeping Shabbos, and chas v'shalom profaning the festivals is like profaning Shabbos. Okay, if you're going to ask me the question, then why did the Torah make a difference between what happens? Somebody who profanes Yom Tov is much less of a punishment than somebody who profanes Shabbos. The answer is I don't know. That's not the answer. It means I don't have an answer. But nevertheless, that's the what the Torah. This is what Rashi is pointing out. This is what the Torah is telling us. They are both of equal importance. Keeping Shabbos and keeping Yom Tov are both of very high importance. Okay, that's how Rashi explains it over here. By the way, the Vilna Gaon, I think I mentioned this maybe last year already, but the Vilna Gaon has an ingenious pshat over here, and he explains. Rashi explains Kipshuto Shu, doing work on a weekday, right? And Shabbos refers to Shabbos. Okay. However, the Vilna Gaon says something very interesting. We're discussing Yom Tovim. Okay. Now, how many Yom Tovim are there in the entire year? Well, actually, these all are going to be mentioned over here in this Parsha over here in Emor. So we're going to start off with Pesach, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. Okay, how many days of Yom Tov do you have in that whole batch of Yom Tov? So Pesach has 2 days. first day of Pesach, and the seventh day. Shavuos is 1 day. Rosh Hashanah, as far as the Torah is concerned, is 1 day. Yom Kippur is another day. And Sukkot, you've got the first day of Sukkot, and then the end of Sukkot, you have Shmini Atzeres. So altogether, you have 7 days. So throughout the entire year, you have 7 days of Yom Tov. Now, as I pointed out to you when we were translating the Pasuk, it says 6 days work may be done. Says the Vilna Gaon, this is referring to a regular Yom Tov. On a regular Yom Tov, unlike Shabbos, certain melachas may be done. One may do certain melachas. What are they? Melachas of oichel. Right. So means what is required for preparing food, and that is limited l'chora to only that which needed to be done on that day. What could have been done a previous day l'chora is not permitted. Certain conditions, whatever, certain parameters, what's considered to have to be done on that day, done on the previous day. If it tastes fresher on fresh baked or fresh cooked on that day, then one doesn't need to cook it for the day before, because we want to have people to have Oneg Yom Tov. So therefore, anything that tastes fresh or cooked on the same day may be cooked on Yom Tov. Okay? Now, so of those days we mentioned, 6 of them, we may do melach on them for Oichel Nefesh. 2 days of Pesach, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah, and Sukkot. There's also 2 days. But 1 day, when we don't eat whatsoever, Yom Kippur, which is called Shabbos Shabboso, okay, then Melachas Oichel Nefesh is not permitted. One's not allowed to cook on Yom Kippur. As far as that is concerned, Yom Kippur is like Shabbos, where all work, all malacha is forbidden. So it says the Vilna Gaon, that's what it's referring to. Sheishis Yomim, of all the days of Yom Tov, which are mentioned, going to be mentioned in the upcoming Sukkim, 6 of those days, one melacha may be done for Oichel Nefesh. But on the 7th day, Shabbos Shabbosoim, it's we are translated a day of complete cessation of work, meaning all melacha is forbidden. And that's going to refer to Yom Kippur, Mikra Kodesh, Kol melacha lo yisasu. You mustn't do any melacha. Shabbos ila Hashem b'chol mashvei seichem. So that's what the Gaon says it's referring to. That's not Pshuto, Rashi, where Rashi explains it's more Pshuto Shel Mikra. It is referring to Shabbos, but the Gaon says, "Al Pi Drush." It's also referring to days of Sheshis Yom. It's also referring to days of Yom Tov, and it's referring to the fact that some days, 6 out of the 7 days of Yom Tov in the year, are permitted to do Melacha V'Oichel Nefesh, but on the 7th day, Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to do any work. Okay, let's continue.
I think our time is up.
Okay, we'll stop here. Very good. So there we're up to Pasuk Dalet. Is Hashem? Hopefully tomorrow's audience will be a little bit larger.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rabbi. Have a good day.
And good Chodesh.
And good Chodesh.
Chodesh.